Somewhere off the coast of Portugal, in February 2024, a man stood on a surfboard at the top of a wave so large that the human brain struggled to process what it was looking at. A wall of water nearly 94 feet tall, that's almost 10 stories of a building, moving at speeds that would terrify most drivers on a highway. And he rode it. But before we get to that moment, we need to talk about the place. Because without this place, this list would look very different. 7 of the 10 biggest waves ever surfed happen in the same location. A small fishing village on the coast of Portugal called Nazaré. Praia do Norte, the northern beach of Nazaré, is not a glamorous surf destination in the conventional sense. It is not the sun-soaked beaches of Hawaii or the turquoise waters of Tahiti. It is a stretch of Portuguese coastline defined by grey Atlantic swells and dramatic sea cliffs. But beneath the surface lies something that makes this place unlike anywhere else on the earth. The Nazaré Canyon. A submarine canyon approximately 170 kilometers long, reaching depths of up to 5,000 meters. When deep Atlantic swells roll in from the open ocean and hit the canyon, they are focused and redirected towards the shore in a way that produces waves of extraordinary height and power. Surfers at Nazaré have hit speeds of up to 80 km per hour. A wipeout from that height and those speeds has been described as comparable to a car crash. The water pressure after being pushed underwater can rupture human eardrums. And the most feared scenario of all, the triple hold down. 3 consecutive waves pressing you beneath the surface before you can breathe is one of the most extreme physical and psychological tests a human being can face. Every person on this list knew all of that. Every person on this list paddled it anyway. This is the countdown of the 10 biggest waves ever surfed in recorded history. Number 10 in the list is a surfer from Germany. He had made a decision most people in his position would never make. He packed up his life and moved to Nazaré. Not for the summers, for the winters. For the grey Atlantic swells and the towering walls of water that the canyon produces when the season turns. On December 11, 2014, he rode a 71-foot wave down the face of one of the most dangerous stretches of water on Earth. Now, 71 feet is extraordinary, right? But it's number 10 on the list. And here's something worth noting right now at the very start of this countdown. This wave has a direct connection to the wave at number 2 and to the wave at number 1. We will come back to it, keep it in mind. Let's keep going with number 9. At 71 feet, this wave ties the previous entry in height. But it earns its own separate place in history for one reason. Soledade didn't just survive this wave, he found a tube inside it. A wave 71 feet tall forms a hollow barrel of water as it breaks, a collapsing ceiling of ocean. And Soledade rode inside the barrel, successfully. That adds a layer of technical difficulty that goes far beyond simple staying upright on a moving mountain of water. It means reading the wave with surgical precision and holding a line through something most surfers would never even attempt at that scale. Soledade was born in Brazil, but had built his life in Hawaii. As a child, he had to hide the fact that he surfed at all. His parents believed the sport was for lazy people. He spent years overcoming obstacle after obstacle to reach a level where a ride like this was even possible. Piahi, known to surfers worldwide simply as Jaws, sits on the north shore of Maui. It's a deep water reef break, meaning waves build over a submerged shelf of rock and explode upwards with terrifying force. When Jaws is working, it is one of the most spectacular and deadly places in the ocean. In January 2010, 2 surfers, Danilo Couture and Mauricio Freire, became the first people to paddle into Jaws without jet ski assistance. The big wave world had believed for years that certain waves were simply too fast to be caught by paddling alone. Jaws changed that. Soledade's tube ride at Jaws remains one of the most technically impressive feats on this entire list. Every person on this list has a story. With number 8 on the list, Franciso Porcella's story is one of the most honest ones. Because it's not a story about someone who was born fearless. It's a story about someone who kept showing up despite the fear. Porcella has suffered wipeouts at Teupo in Tahiti, a wave notorious for throwing surfers onto a shallow reef with the force of a car crash. Injuries at Jaws, the kind of moments that end careers or at minimum make a person deeply reconsider their relationship with the ocean. And yet, on October 24, 2016, Porcella rode a 73-foot wave at Nazaré. He didn't stop after that either. He continued chasing massive waves across the globe, from Europe to Fiji to the water he grew up near in Maui, For Porcella, the pursuit was never about the record, it was about the wave itself. What do you do after nearly dying? Ask number 7. In 2013, Maya Gabeira almost lost her life at Nazaré. She wiped out in a massive swell, was held underwater by consecutive waves and had to be resuscitated on the beach. For many, that would have been the end of the story. A cautionary tale, a reason to walk away. Gabeira came back, not just to surfing, back to Nazaré, back to the exact place that had nearly taken everything from her. In February 2020, she rode a wave measuring 73.5 feet. Guinness World Record recognized it as the biggest wave ever surfed by a woman. Resilience is a word that gets used casually, but there is nothing casual about returning to the water that almost killed you, looking at it and paddling it anyway. At number 6, we need to talk about Kurt's Bank, because this is a place most people have never heard of. More than 150 kilometers off the coast of California, there is no island, no visible landmark, just open ocean, and beneath it a submerged mountain range that rises almost to the surface. When the right swell arrives, that underwater geography does something extraordinary. It focuses the raw energy of the open Pacific into waves of almost incomprehensible size. Surfers call it the Phantom of California. Getting there requires a flawless swell forecast, a fleet of watercraft, and a detailed rescue operation. The waters around the bank are treacherous. Submerged islands hidden just below the surface can destroy boats without warning. On January 13 in 2023, Justine Dupont was part of the crew that made the journey. And it was Dupont who stole the show. Her 70-foot wave was a contender for the Guinness World Record for the biggest wave ever ridden by a woman. Whether or not the record was officially ratified, what she did that day stands as one of the most extraordinary achievements in modern big wave surfing, male or female. 15 years before Dupont's wave, another surfer found himself at the exact same spot on number 5. Mike Parsons had spent decades developing a feel for the California Ocean, understanding it not as a concept but as a living, unpredictable force with its own logic. On January 5 in 2008, along with his tow partner Brad Gallagher, he navigated the dangerous waters to Kurt's Bank. The conditions aligned, and Parsons caught a 77-foot wave, 23.5 meters. At that time, it was one of the largest waves ever ridden, and it confirmed something the surfing world had suspected for years. The Phantom of California was real, and it was capable of producing waves that rival anything on Earth. Now we arrive at number 4 with the man who, in many ways, started all of this. Before Garrett Mc Namara, Nazaré was just a fishing village. A beautiful one, a historic one, but not a surfing destination. Certainly not one known for world records. Mc Namara first came to Portugal in the mid-2000s, drawn by rumors of a wave that no one had probably surfed. He didn't just visit, he committed. He worked with the local community, helped develop safety protocols, and spent years learning the wave from every angle. He understood that surfing a place like this wasn't just about courage, it was about preparation, infrastructure, knowing the canyon the way a sailor knows a reef. On 1st November in 2011, Mc Namara rode a 78-foot wave, almost 24 meters. It was a world record, and it was the moment Nazaré announced itself to the world. A quiet fishing village in Portugal became the most famous big wave destination on Earth almost overnight. Mc Namara's record stood for 6 years. Then a Brazilian surfer arrived at Nazaré with the number 3. Brazil has produced some of the finest surfers in the world. The so-called Brazilian storm swept through professional surfing over the past decade, producing world champion after world champion. The country is known for its beach breaks. Powerful, yes, but not the open ocean monsters that define the upper end of this list. Coxa was different. He had spent years chasing big waves far from home, developing a feel for heavy water that most Brazilian surfers never encounter. And on the 8th of November in 2017, he rode an 80-foot wave at Nazaré, 24 meters. The biggest wave officially confirmed by Guinness World Records at that time. His record reflected something important, that the pursuit of massive waves is not limited by a geography. You don't have to grow up near Jaws or Mavericks or Nazaré. You have to be willing to go there, study them, and be ready when the moment arrives. But Koch's record, like every record on this list, was not going to last. Remember number 10? The surfer from Germany who had relocated his entire life to a Portuguese fishing village years before this moment? The one whose wave we said shared something specific with this entry and with number 1? Here it is. On the 29th of October in 2020, the same man, Sebastian Steudtner, rode a 86-foot wave at Nazaré, 26.2 meters. confirmed by Guinness World Record as the biggest wave ever surfed, a new world record. He had also invested deeply in the science of big wave surfing, approaching it not purely as a feat of courage but as a technical problem. Board design, materials, science, hydrodynamics. He collaborated with engineers and even with Porsche to develop the equipment that would allow him to survive waves at this scale. Numbers 10, 2 and 1. All the same surfer. All the same relentless, methodical, vertigo-afflicted man from Germany, who moved to Nazaré and decided to rewrite what was possible. But he wasn't finished yet. We told you at the very start that this moment was coming. A wall of water nearly 94 feet tall, almost 10 stories of a building, moving. In February 2024, Sebastian Steudtner returned to the cliffs of Nazaré, to the wave that had defined his life for over a decade, in conditions that were insane and stormy even by Nazaré's extreme standards. And he wrote something that no human being in recorded history has ever written. He didn't just break the world record, he broke his own. The 86-foot mark he had set in 2020, past Koch's 80 feet, past Mc Namara's pioneer wave, all the way to 93.73 feet, 28.57 meters. Official Guinness confirmation was at the time of this recording still pending, but it happened, it exists, the wave was there, and Steudtner was on it. So what does this list actually tell us? It tells us that Nazaré is the most productive big wave location in the history of recording surfing. 7 of the 10 biggest waves ever ridden happened there. It tells us that Courts Bank, the Phantom of California, is the most underestimated stretch of open ocean on Earth. And it tells us that Sebastian Steudtner, a man with vertigo from a country not known for its waves, who relocated his life to a Portuguese fishing village and approached surfing with the precision of an engineer, has pushed the boundaries of what a human being can ride further than anyone who has ever lived. The Nazaré Canyon doesn't care about records. It doesn't care about history. Every winter, the Atlantic swells roll in. The canyon focuses them and the water rises. It will keep rising, whether anyone is there to ride it or not. But someone will be there, because that's what this list proves. From number 10 all the way to number 1, there will always be someone willing to stand at the top of the biggest wave in the world, look down and go.